afternoon everybody, Car Biker here. Just heading away from RAF Stenigott, which was in my last video, the second of my radio trilogy. I don't know. It's fairly tenuous link, I know. And I'm on my way to the third place, if I can work out how to get there, which is just there. But of course, just there, when you're looking at a tower that big, is actually some distance away. And I suppose I could have checked maps and all that kind of thing, you know, got a sat nav out, looked at Google Maps or whatever, but that's all too easy. So I thought I'd just head down a road that looked like it went the right way. Far better plan, surely. So I'm off to see that big tower over there, which is part of the Belmont Transmission Station, or Transmitting Station. Not put up by Bobby Elmont, as I think I said something like that in a previous Tower of Babel or random clippage where I was talking rubbish, but it's part of the TV and radio network, and it's the transmitting tower for Lincolnshire, East Yorkshire, bit of Norfolk and a bit of Nottinghamshire. Transmits the TV, digital TV and digital radio. Used to do the analog TV and analog radio when analog TV still existed. So I'm heading roughly in that direction, and we'll have a look at it and I'll tell you its claim to fame. Good view of it there at a T-junction, where both angles of the T seem to point away from it. I reckon that'd make a good photograph if I had somewhere to carry my camera on this bike. That's the one thing at the minute that makes me consider a different bike, is not having the luggage to carry my camera. This might be the closest I'm going to get to it. I should try not to wobble the camera too much. That building there, that's the Belmont Transmission Station, and that's the bottom of the mast. And if we follow it up, a little tower, little platform, more platforms, more bits and pieces, and up, 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 and further up, and there you go, right at the top there. It's a very, very large tower. See if I can even get the whole thing in frame. I can't. That's zoomed out as far as I can go, and it's huge. And if you can spot, let's have a look, if we can zoom in on it. If I follow it down, you can see it's a tubular steel tower, and it's held up with these guy lines. It's just steel wire under tremendous tension that goes all the way down to the ground, and you'll see them going off in, well, how many are going down? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of those wires going down from various places on the tower. So to give you an idea of how big it is, it was 1,272 feet tall, which is about 390 metres, just under 390 metres. And it's a tubular steel structure. It's basically just a big tube, big steel tube. Something like 9 metres across, I believe. And it's held up with those guy wires so it doesn't fall over, because obviously just a tube like that, you can imagine how easily that would bend if it didn't have that structure holding it together. I say it was 1,272 feet tall. It was actually shortened, so at the time it was at its biggest, which was before 2010, it was actually the tallest tubular steel structure in the world, and it was the tallest structure in the EU. But they took the top off it and reduced it to 1,154 feet in 2010, which is about 350 metres just over. So now it's only the 14th biggest structure in the EU and the second biggest in the UK. But I say it transmits TV, digital radio, various other bits and pieces, and obviously that's why it has to be so tall to get that coverage. There's a lot more I can show you with this camera, so I'm going to get back on the bike now and just finish up. I'll head round, see if I can get another angle on it and tell you another couple of bits I know about it, or another thing I know about it, and a thing related to me. So another thing I know about it is you can actually see this thing from pretty much everywhere on the Lincolnshire Wolds, because Lincolnshire's so flat. And the lights on the top of it, because it's over a certain height, a few hundred metres, it has to have lights on it for aircraft, so they can see where it is at night and don't crash into it. And the lights on the top of that thing you can see from Norfolk. You can also see from Skegness and from Nottingham if the night is clear. It really is that big. Now, the little relationship to me, nothing on the technical side, but when I was learning to fly, one of the exercises you have to be able to do when you're learning to fly is to recover if you get lost. And the idea is that if you get lost, the first thing you do is you put yourself into a constant turn, because at some point you'll know where you were. So you might have known 5 minutes ago you were in a certain place and you're travelling at, I don't know, 120 miles an hour. So at that speed you can be no further than about 10 miles away under your own thrust from that place, and then with wind taken into the account as well, maybe 15-20 miles away from where you were when you last knew where you were. So you put yourself into a turn, pick a landmark or something on the ground, put yourself into a turn around that landmark so that you don't carry on drifting any further, and then you start looking at your map that you'll have on your knee, looking for more landmarks and trying to put together a picture. So you might see some villages, some roads, some huge masts, things like that, and be able to work out where you were. And the way they get you lost is to basically cover up the windows so you can't see out, but so that your instructor can, and then they fly you, twisting the plane around and making it turn in weird ways, so turning with too much rudder or too much aileron to really confuse you, so you got no idea where you've been, which way you've been turning. The weird thing about a plane is you can turn left in a way that makes you feel like you're turning left or right, depending on how good you are, or in a way that makes it feel like you're not turning at all, depending on how good you are. And what they did with me is they did all that kind of stuff for 15 or 20 minutes, and then they said, right, we'll pull down the covers off the window so you can see where you're going. And the first thing I saw was that mast, which made the exercise pretty simple. Because if you're from around here, and if you fly around here in particular, there's one thing that you will never lose sight of, and it's this. You can see this when you're in the air from 50 miles away. Super thing. Amazing to think that just those wires, if those wires were to go, this whole thing would come toppling down. So that's my third radio thing of the day, and no doubt of several days once it's up on the YouTube. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ride safe, and I shall talk to you all again soon.